So welcome back to the No State Project. I'm Mark Stevens. The website, markstevens.net. Welcome back to the live edition of the No State Project here on LRN.FM. It is October 18th, 2014. If you want to join me on the big show today, you may do so. It is 218-632-9399, 218-632-9399. And remember, Libertopia 2014 going to be next month in San Diego at the Town & Country Resort. Wonderful location, especially that's not Labor Day this year. And it'll be November 13th through the 16th, so definitely check it out. It's going to be a blast. We're talking with Joe in Illinois, and this is a little different. We don't normally get calls where you made such statements. But since you did, we were going to we'll go through this and flesh this out. They can really see what kind of psychopaths these people are. And when I say psychopath, it's just an easier way than going through all the details, like you mentioned, one of the aspects of psychopathy, which is a callous disregard for others. That's just that's just a standard one that they seem to exhibit, at least while they're on the job. Another is a massive ego. They don't handle being questioned very well. They have absolutely no empathy, and they lie. They lie and lie and lie, and then they'll lie about lying. So that's what I mean about psychopath or antisocial personality or sociopath. So what we were talking about, Joe, you were saying that you were a law-abiding citizen, and we're asking what facts you need to have to prove that someone is, in fact, a citizen, and what would those be?
Well, I can't honestly say I have the correct answer. All I know is what I've been told.
There you go.
From a young child, that you're a citizen if you're born here and if your parents were born here, and if you're not a citizen yet, you can apply, as my wife did when she was 10, and the government admitted her into the United States as a citizen. So that's what I believe is a citizen, and that's what I've been told all my life. It doesn't mean it's true. Of course, I've never tried to check the veracity of any of those statements. And I just assume that's true.
Yeah, you just right, and that's the operative word there. You assume, and they are counting on everybody assuming that. And the heresy comes in when someone comes around and challenges that. Well, how is that true? Why is that true? And you're not like the average, where the average person will get highly offended. Well, they'd start. So you're open to it, which is great. Which is, you're calling to the show. You listen to LRN, so that's why. To be a citizen, according to the Supreme Court, according to their laws, and this goes back to England, that a citizen is a member of the body politic owing a duty of allegiance in return for duty protection, and that their reciprocal obligations, one a consideration for the other. And that is Luria versus United States, and it's about 100-something years old. I have the citation in Adventures in Legal Land, so I'm not going to, and we'll have it in the show notes, thanks to Calvin, of course, and I'll put that in there. So now we've got something to work with. It's a member of a body politic, so we have to have proof of a body politic, and then when you have two reciprocal obligations, a duty to protect you in return for your duty of allegiance. Now, how as a newborn you could possibly have a duty of allegiance to people called the government is beyond me, because you can't even you don't even have speech, let alone rational thought. So. It's ridiculous on its face to think that a baby is a citizen, and so what I do in Adventures in Legal Land is deconstruct that and show that there's no evidence for that. So by their own admission, the people called government will tell you at every level, whether you're in U.S., Canada, Australia, it doesn't matter. At every level, they will tell you there's no duty to protect you. So we know that from a legal standpoint, there's no legal duty to protect you, which is why you can't sue them if your car is stolen, because they don't have any duty to protect you or your property. Okay. The other side of it, where you're just looking at the facts, everything is pay or go to jail, right? You either pay taxes or go to jail. So how could a duty of allegiance and a duty of protection arise when you have no choice in the matter?
Yeah, good question. And I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Well, I think the answer is it could not arise, because if they're saying you either pay us, if you either give us money or we will put you in jail and kill you in the process. That's not a duty to protect you. It's illogical. It's not rational at all. So the fact that everybody is forced to pay destroys the concept that there's a body politic, that the people have agreed to this. It's the whole social contract theory. Well, it's a ridiculous theory because there's no evidence whatsoever to support it. The evidence is that you are being forced to pay. So there is no body politic. There are no duties of allegiance. There are no duties to protect you. And so the entire concept of citizenship falls completely flat. There's absolutely no merit to it, and there's overwhelming direct evidence against the concept.
That's a lot to think about, Mark.
It is, but Joe, you're in good company, because most of us who listen to the show, and I say a good percentage of the people who listen to this network, have already gone through and resolved these contradictions. At least these particular ones. And because the whole thing contradicts probably your basic principle, which I'm sure you hold, that it is wrong to use violence. It is wrong to force people to give you money. And so when you take that principle and you compare it to all your other beliefs, some are going to be consistent, some are going to contradict. And so I am where I am today because I went through the painful process, at least initially, of trying to, focus on the contradictions. And if something contradicted a basic core principle of mine, then I had to discard it. And it's not always easy to do. But that's why a question that I started asking when I got back from Alaska after speaking with those public defenders, it's very simple, and I wrote it down. Let's see. Well, do you have any principles that are worth standing up for? And I thought about that because I was tired of arguing with people and not being, and all the disagreement and all the visceral emotional responses from especially Republicans. That I needed to cut through all that, and I had to get a point of agreement with somebody, which is something like the guys at Quatloos wouldn't allow. You can't have a rational discussion with them because they're so biased against me. They can't even allow themselves to publicly agree with anything that I've said, so I can't even start a rational conversation with them. But asking someone point blank like that really helps open up a door.
Well, you're talking to a guy who served 10 years in the military, special operations ranger, and thought he sincerely had a duty coming off the farm to serve his country, and that's how I chose to do it. By year 10, I had a different attitude based on what I had been exposed to and experienced, and I realized not totally then, but now, that there are quite a few criminals in this country who have control of a lot of power and use it for nothing more than just thuggery, just to beat up on people who don't go along with their edicts, their say-sos. And, I was involved with everything from violence against totally unarmed, totally innocent people to drug running. And it didn't make me feel comfortable. So I got out of it. But I guess the whole concept here is still just sinking in. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I am not recoiling from what you're saying, and I am open to it simply because I know that my government, or what I believe to be our government, is truly not there to protect and serve us anymore. They treat us more like cattle, like sheep, like people just to be ruled over, and shut up, do what you're told, and pay your taxes, and I don't appreciate that at all.
Yeah, well, that's because it's part of the program. We'll address this more next segment. It's always been that way, and that's why you have founding myths like the founding fathers. So, but we'll be back in just a moment.
Okay.